So it's hereby called to order at 5:30 p.m. For the purpose of this meeting, there is a quorum of the council present. We'll move on to agenda item number 2, invocation. Councilmember Ellis will deliver the invocation, and the United States Pledge and Texas Pledge will be led by the City Council. Please rise.
Let's pray. Father, we love you today, and we're so thankful for all of your blessings. What a good God you are. Lord, I pray for the city council tonight and city manager and all those involved that you'll be with us, that you'll give us direction. We pray for our first responders just to watch over and protect them, all of our department heads, just to guide and direct them. So Lord, we thank you that your hand is upon this meeting tonight. Thank you now. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Now move on to the Citizens Forum.
Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentations to no more than 2 minutes, and remarks must be limited to matters of city business. Speakers will not be allowed to cede speaking time to others. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city council members, or employees, including but not limited to claims in pending litigation, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. If necessary, the City Council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding any item on this agenda.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the public forum open. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak, please come and address your name and address for the record.
My name is James Belcher. I worked for Code for 6 years. I think I did more work orders than anybody ever in this city. And I think I've done more free volunteer work than anybody ever in this city has. We went overnight in this city from reactive code enforcement to proactive code enforcement. And it was a little too fast. I know this town needed to be cleaned up. I agree. For Pat to do the west side for $50,000. He didn't want to spend no money on the west side of this town. I'm glad Mr. Pat is gone. A lot of people don't like that statement I just made, but that's just the way I see it. Everybody's got a right to their opinion. The best code enforcement officer we ever had was Shirley Savage. There was nobody in code enforcement that could come close to that lady. She could talk anybody into anything and get that property cleaned up without having to charge them and take them to court. And she had a pair of brush cutters in her truck, and she got out and she did the work. People would come to me and we'd try to get her back in the truck. I never really seen anybody work that hard, and I heard that she was never offered enough money to stay here. But the amount of stuff she got cleaned up was unbelievable. And she called me and asked me if I could do some of it for free, and I surely didn't mind. And I've never minded helping out the city. You know, but a lot of old people in our district, a lot of people can't get things done that fast, you know, and things are different now. I realize that. We went through a big change. The town looks good, you know, but there are people you can go out there and get that really knock the eyes out of them. You have to pay them a little money, but they can do a big job. Shirley Savage is one of them.
Sorry, Mr. Belcher, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alvin Atwood, 2419 Bottom Street. Hey, so I've been talking with you about the lake and all that. I've been lining up some stuff for it. And turns out there's a whole bunch of more crap that goes with that. So I need approval for me to not have to hire a big company that's going to upcharge me 30 or 40 or even 50% to do some of the work I desire out there. I'm paying for it out of my pocket. I'd sure appreciate a little nudge from the city to kind of help me out there. I want to show y'all a little something. We're constantly see Lake Crook, Lake Crook, Lake Crook. Wow, y'all have done an amazing job out there. I went out there just a while ago. That place is the nicest I think I've ever seen it. Good job. But before we keep sinking money into that place, I want to show y'all a little something. This is water from Lake Crook. This is water from Lake Gibbons. And yeah, that's actually from the lake, I swear to God. Couldn't believe it. If we're going to try to bring people here to laking events, you know, we don't need no big boats off in there by the Goose Refuge. We don't need a bunch of boats by the Goose Refuge or nothing. But, you know, like we were talking about, like some, you know, kayak and canoe racing and all that. But I'll show y'all. This right here comes straight out of the Lake of Gibbons. Couldn't pay me enough money to drink that. Not a chance. I just saying, I don't need your money, but I could use a little, I need a little, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I need a little help, maybe. That's not the word. I need not to pay somebody 50 to 30% higher to come do the work that I can hire employees to go and do myself. That's it, you know. Holler at me when you get a chance. Hey, man, you're doing a fantastic job at this city, by the way. You seen the statistics on it? You've done an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? All right. I will now close the public forum and move on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are approved by a single action of the council, with such approval applicable to all items appearing on the consent agenda. A council member may request any item to be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. Council, does any council member wish to remove any item for discussion? And if not, I'll hear a motion.
Make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
We've got a motion. Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. We will now move on to the regular agenda. Agenda item number 8, discuss and act on a resolution approving a residential tax abatement and economic development agreement with Confia Homes LLC as a part of the 5 and 5 Housing Infill Redevelopment Program for property located at 1165 Northwest 16th Street, 646 East Polk Street, 1367 West Houston Street, 1736 East Cherry Street, and 1230 Johnson Street. Staff, do you have a presentation?
If you let me
Yeah, go ahead.
explain to them, the resolution and the agreement that you got in your packet were for 5 properties. We found out late Thursday that on, I believe it's the 1165 Northwest 16th, that a family member of the owner had redeemed that property, paid the taxes, so it is not available. The applicant wanted to go ahead and proceed, so what is actually in the signature file for the mayor is for 4 structures on 4 lots instead of 5 on 5 lots.
Thank you. So besides what she has said, staff has looked at all the properties and they are within the program area. And it has followed all the regulations that are needed, and all incentives are also provided in the guidelines and criteria. Notice of the council's consideration of the tax abatement was duly posted at least 30 days prior to this meeting, as required by law. Total cost of this project will be around $800,000, and there will not be any incremental value to the taxable value attributable to the required undeveloped property. I therefore recommend a resolution approval of the attached agreement to Confia Homes LLC. Thank you.
And I believe the overall investment, back out $160,000 out of that $800,000 to account for there only being 4 homes instead of 5.
Council, any discussion, any questions we have? And if not, I'll hear a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve item 8 as written.
We've got a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 9, discuss and act on a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a recorded Texas historic landmark property owner authorization in support of an application for Lake Crook Historic Landmark designation. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. So I was approached by Mr. McFadden about this, and we thought it was a great idea. So local historian Mr. Garvin Gorley recently offered to prepare and submit an application to the Texas Historical Commission for Lake Crook and the surrounding watershed to be listed as a registered Texas historic landmark, noting a lengthy partnership for the improvements and use of Lake Crook between the city, the Lamar County Chamber of Commerce, and the Visitors and Convention Council. The V&CC will supply the application fees. So this seems like a very good cooperative project, so I'm very grateful for that. Application fees will be provided by the Visitor and Convention Council, and staff recommends to approve, but we have Mr. Gorley here if you'd like to come up if you have any questions for him. Okay.
Hi, I'm Lisa Archer. I'm chairman of the Lamar County Historical Commission, the local chapter of the Texas Historical Commission. Our goal is to help preserve the history of our county, and one of our primary responsibilities is to approve Texas historical marker applications for Lamar County before they are submitted to the Texas Historical Commission for their final approval. We are here today to discuss a marker application for Lake Crook, and at this time, I'd like to introduce our marker chair, Marvin Gorley.
Thank you for letting me speak. Just to kind of give you some background, I'd like to give you a little short history of Lake Crook. Lake Crook was created to solve the city's longtime water supply issue. Its beginning was controversial. Mayor J. Morgan Crook and the Paris City Council proposed a $1 million bond to fund construction. A princely sum in those days, but citizens overwhelmingly approved the financial burden. Lake Crook replaced Lake Gibbons as the primary city water supply on June 18, 1923, and soon became envied throughout Texas. 10 years later, in 1933, a public park was formally established near the water treatment plant, which became the most popular spot in the county for recreation and public gatherings. Mayor Crook, our longest-serving mayor, was inspired again in 1940 when he conceived the idea of recruiting the construction of a military camp in Lamar County. Lake Crook's readily available water supply may have been the deciding factor in the approval of Camp Maxey, which skyrocketed the local economy. When the war was over, the camp's water treatment plant was declared surplus and purchased by the city of Paris at a time when its existing plant was rapidly deteriorating. Lake Crook served as the primary Paris water source for 45 years. In 1968, it was replaced by Pat Mays Lake, but continued as a backup supply. Pat Mays also took over as the favorite recreation spot, and Lake Crook Park consequently deteriorated due to neglect. For more than two decades, things got worse and even unsafe, although some recreational activities continued. Things began to improve on December 19, 1988, when Lake Crook was annexed by the city. A grassroots movement by citizens began efforts to revitalize the lake in the early 1990s. On March 25, 1999, the City Council formally dedicated it as a city park. That same year, the first drag boat races were held on its waters, and a pavilion was funded by Tenasca 3. Revitalization proceeded. In 2010, a new fishing pier was constructed. In 2016, a new playground. And in 2022, the South Boat Ramp was rebuilt. Drag boat races continue annually, and in 2013, the first jet ski race was held. That event triggered the construction of a beach from which competitors started the race. Since then, it has been a popular draw to visitors. Today, thanks to the Paris City Council and the Lamar County Chamber of Commerce, Lake Crook Park exhibits renewed vitality, hosting a multitude of family events, fishermen, and nature lovers. Few people now know how important Lake Crook has been to Paris. It deserves recognition. It deserves a Texas historical marker. But mark approval is not automatic. I want to warn you, 10 to 20% of applications are not successful. Since 2010, the Lamar County Historical Commission has applied for 31 Texas markers, and all were approved. We expect that Lake Crook will not spoil our perfect track record. So the Lamar County Historical Commission would like to apply for a marker honoring Lake Crook. What we need from the City Council is formal approval to place the marker on city-owned property. It is an application requirement, along with an extensively documented narrative history and funding. The Visitors and Convention Council has agreed to pay the cost of the marker. Paul, would you like to speak?
You said everything I was going to say.
So I'm hoping you will consider us favorably. Thank you very much.
All right, council, is there any discussion? I have one word. I want to thank you, Mr. Gorley. You're always presenting really well, and you've always got something awesome for our community to celebrate the history of. I just appreciate that. And to echo off of what you were saying, Rose, it's so important nowadays to have that partnership amongst all of our entities here in our community that are working hard. To have that partnership with Chamber, VNCC, and the city on this is huge, and that lake provides a lot of economic growth for our community, and we appreciate that you guys are looking out for that. And hopefully other assets that we have within our community will come up soon, but Lake Crook now's the time to shine for it, so there we go. If there's no other discussion, I'll entertain any motions.
I make a motion, we approve the landmark, the historic marker for Lake Crook.
All right, we got a motion? We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. All right. And just to note, agenda item number 10, receive presentation of the 2025 audit and discuss. We did have a workshop at 4:30 this afternoon, and we did discuss this item with our auditors, and we did receive a clean bill of health there. So in this, our audit is actually posted online. It's for public, so anyone is welcome to look at that. But we had a really in-depth conversation, and all is good. So, council, did anyone have any questions on that or anything? All right, then. We will move on to agenda item number 11, receive presentation from building official Mr. Duke McGee about the building department.
We built this city on rock
Should have voiced over and said building codes.
Building.
Mayor,
You gotta have fun, right?
council members. The building safety's mission is to safeguard the public by promoting safe construction practices. Oh, let me get the slide going there so you can read along with me. Zoning, construction codes, and providing professional responsive services to the community. That's our primary mission. Some of the major hurdles that we've had is of course, our data integrity problem, abandoning our ability to inspect and enforce certain codes, department silos, permitting delay turnarounds, kind of below average BSEGS ratings, and a lack of public education. Probably the largest one was our data integrity. The transition from MyGov 4 to MyGov 5 revealed a deep-seated technical debt caused by inadequate vendor support and untrained staff. The root cause was a lack of official training from the original provider that forced staff to self-train and led to inconsistencies, broken access controls, and compromised data integrity. The problem with moving from MyGov to MyGov 4 to MyGov 5 didn't fix any of the underlying issues. It just transferred all the bad data into the new system. So our solution was the Legacy Permit Program. It was launched to manually cleanse historical records, reestablish accountability, and prepare the department for a clean migration. Some of the other solutions for these problems those hurdles that we had was to increase staff technical training, clearly define staff roles, provide greater and easier public education, implement clear and transparent policies, review our review process with SOPs, a FOG program, CO reissue, staying current in our codes. And after 2 years of doing all this, we've got some information for you. So we went from highly corrupt, inconsistent in our data to almost 100% reliability in reporting. Our staff accountability before was very low. We had little access controls, and now we have full audit control trails that we can look at. The training models, again, was self-taught. Everybody had to kind of learn what they were doing. We've standardized onboarding, and we've got vendor-certified training. As a matter of fact, we just got approved as an ICC preferred provider for nationwide. And then our operational risk went from very high to now it's low and with a data-driven process. What this translates into is our review times. Residential plan reviews, pre-implementation, we're taking about 14 days to get a plan review done. We are now down to 3 days getting those plan reviews done, which is a 78% increase, 78% faster on that. Our commercial plan review times were 28 days, and we've got those down to 15 days, or 14 days, which is 50% faster. Our application accuracy, receive a lot of incomplete applications. It was up to about 60% before. Now we get about 15%. People are filling out their applications properly, which is 75% quality lift. Field approval rates, 50% of plans were passed with said something as a plan reviewer I like, subject to field inspections. Something when I'm doing inspections I hate, because that means I gotta look closer. It's about 15% of plans now. It's only about 15% instead of, and that's a 70% risk reduction for the building department. Which all that translates into about 6,480 man hours that we've reclaimed in the past year. And here's a little residential plan review. Little speedometers there that the 14 to 30 days is the average for most Texas cities. We're getting those done in 3 days. So we are above average for not just our sister cities or our comparison cities, but all Texas cities. On the commercial side, it's 20 to 30 days average for most Texas cities with a statutory expectation of 45 days. It means the state just passed a law that had 45 days. We're getting these turned around in about 14 days. Good plan reviews done in about 14 days. Here's our workload comparison. At any given time, we average over 1,000 permits. It's active on a daily basis. In 2024, we had a total of 1,289 permits and a total inspection of about 4,500 inspections that year. 2025, 1,403 permits with the total inspections of 4,320. This year, we're on track to about the same. It looks like we're a little bit low on total permits, but this is about the time of year when the permits start coming in and hitting, so we'll start getting busy. Here's a year, 24-25 year comparison of our permits. That's kind of weird how that did that right there. This is the building department's impact on budget safety and community well-being. On budgeting, of course, permits and inspection fees support city services, reduce future public liability, unsafe buildings, infrastructure failure. Now it's even better because we can give you that data-driven planning for growth with good data instead of that corrupt data. Safety, it enforces life safety for structural codes, prevents hazards before they're occurring, and coordinate with emergency services. Community well-being, it promotes safe, healthy, and inclusive housing, preserves property values, neighborhood characteristics, supports fair access and ADA compliance. Bottom line, a strong building department isn't just about enforcement. It's a key driver of safety, fiscal responsibility, and quality of life. And there's some key benefits. And future, we want to continue with our software integration. We're getting that. We're going to expand our educational outreach. We're seeking departmental accreditation through International Accreditation Services. We should be getting our BSEGS rating back. We were just audited by VeriRisk. I'm expecting at least a 2-point jump, probably a 3-point. It would be awesome if we can get a 3-point, which is almost unheard of in our industry. Right now we're at a 6, which is below average. 3 puts us in the top bracket, which I can't say anything until it's actually official. And then we'll continue to implement and enforce annual safety programs, the fog, the detention ponds, and the billboards. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I wanted to open up the floor for any questions that council, anyone has.
No, I don't have a question, but, coming from the work that I did for 33 years, efficiency was huge, as Jared can witness back there. And, being on council for 6 years, one of the biggest complaints was permitting and things like that, the efficiency, not only from builders, but from the project owners, and because it costs money. But, so I appreciate seeing the difference in efficiency. I mean, that's knocking it out of the park. So, and I guess that's why we hear fewer complaints now.
Thank you.
So I appreciate it.
And I'll echo on that, as that growth starts moving towards our area here in our little home, Paris, Texas, we're going to start seeing that here. It's coming soon. And so the biggest thing is to get ready for it. And you guys have taken that task and you've run with it. And so now as we start to get the popularity out of our community and see how rich the resources are, we want to shed that light on how quick you guys can move. That only makes it an even more attractive place to develop and to build a good quality of life. So this is huge. We appreciate that. And that really puts into effect exactly where we were and kind of the complaints we all on council in what was out there in the ether, right? And now we're starting to see, hey, there's efficiency there. That we're hearing less of that and seeing more effective, proactive development. So it's awesome.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We will now move on to agenda item number 12, discuss an ordinance for donation boxes and provide direction to staff. We'll go ahead and pass it off to Stephanie.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that a lot of you are getting complaints about all the donation boxes that are popping up, most of which do not have any signage about who's doing the collecting. And so I have drafted an ordinance based on an ordinance from the city of Arlington that has been blessed by the federal courts. What you can do with respect to donation boxes, it's not intuitive, but the courts treat these things as speech because they are a solicitation. So while you can't regulate content, which in this context is best understood as who is doing the asking or why they're doing the asking, courts have always found that you can regulate what they call time, place, and manner. So, for instance, you can regulate where they are, where you can put them, what zoning districts, what they look like, what their signage has to be, as long as you're not dictating content. So what this Arlington ordinance does that I've adapted for Paris is regulates those things. You're required to have a permit for them. They have to have the permit decal on, and that's how our code enforcement folks know driving down the street whether they have the permit. They're not allowed to be in the right-of-way or on public property. They require written consent of the property owner. The property owner is jointly and severally liable for fines if the boxes become overflowing or unsightly or violate any of the other requirements of the ordinance. They need to be made of metal. There's a maximum size. They are relegated to commercial, high industrial, and low industrial zoning districts. There are setback requirements. So what that would do pretty much out of the box, so to speak, would get rid of these ones that look like they're not much sturdier than plywood. You have to have a much more sturdy so that they don't get blown away in a tornado and hit other property or people. They have to have who's the collector. and their contact information, they have to be such that you open a little door and put your donations down in there. You have to keep everything within 25 feet clear at all times. So those are the kinds of things it regulates. I think what you would want to do is perhaps, if this ordinance is to your liking, is perhaps give it an effective date of maybe 45 to 60 days from when you adopt it, to give the staff enough time. We've got to get forms together and design and have made the decals that have to go on the boxes. And I don't think, if it went into effect immediately after publication, I'm not sure that we would be in a position in terms of space and manpower to start collecting all these boxes and impounding them. One of the things it does is, if you do not have a permit, you're subject to being impounded. And if you don't claim your box within 10 days, the city can do whatever it wants to with it. Destroy them, take them to the dump, sell them, whatever. If your permit is revoked, you have 10 days to remove it, or we're going to impound it. So I think that without going into issues of who's asking whose boxes they are, there are enough restrictions that are perfectly permissible in this ordinance that will help get some of these flimsier ones and ones that are right next to each other because they're spacing requirements. I think that will allow us to get a handle on the situation.
And before I forget, I want to give a special thank you to Councilmember Norman for bringing this up. I know that this has been a really big issue in our community, and appreciate you really bringing it up and leading the charge on this. And I think, if you will, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that this ordinance would potentially have a kind of a limitation of one box per lot type of
Yes.
deal. Okay, good. Because I know there's some that have like 3 or 4, and it's kind of gotten out of hand.
There's an exception if, say, you're a shopping center and you've consolidated, through platting, what would look like a bunch of lots, but it's just one for purposes of platting, that you can have maybe more than one. But again, you have to have the permission of the property owner, and the property owner is liable for everything that the box owner is liable for. In your application form, there will be a form that we require that for the permission of the property owner, with a checklist of these are the things you will be responsible for if you grant permission. And that may deter some property owners from wanting to allow them to be located on their property.
Any thoughts, council? I know one big one that you want to take away is about a lead time, and whenever we would like to maybe potentially look at maybe making this an official ordinance and then having a little bit of staff time ahead of time.
Right. I mean, and this is a discussion item today. We can bring it back at the next meeting if that's what you want to do. Perhaps have an effective date that is 30 to 60 days out for the staff to get ready. And then once the effective date, perhaps have a grace period of 30 days to let people who are going to comply to come in and get their permit. And, then within a month of that, the people who haven't even made an attempt to get a permit, we can start picking up starting with the most unsightly or the most concentrated area, start picking those up.
So I have 2 questions.
Yes.
Are we going to be limited in number of donation boxes in the city?
There's not anything in this ordinance. You would need to kind of come up with some rational basis for whatever number it is you come up with. And because of the spacing and the setback requirements and the physical requirements with the box, the boxes. What you may want to do is go ahead and enact this and see if that doesn't solve some of the problems. I mean, I don't have a good feel for how many there are in the city right now anyway. I know I drive east on Clarksville and they're everywhere, but I don't know if that's true in other parts of the city. We would have to do some surveying and figure out what is the problem citywide we're trying to solve. And, you know, we may want to do that, but we may want to see if, as is, this solves the problem of them being concentrated. And
So second question, you mentioned about the unsightliness and then requesting it to be a metal box. I would like, or can we ask that it be a certain color?
we can.
So, I mean, maybe not fluorescent orange.
Right, and what the Arlington ordinance says is, you know, you can have trade color patterns or whatever, or your logo on it, which is helpful to the people who are donating. Do I really want to donate to this organization or this individual? And it does provide that no fluorescent colors are allowed. It doesn't dictate what color specifically it has to be, but it prohibits fluorescent colors, and that's defined.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yes, if this ordinance passed, how does that affect, I know we've discussed it, but how does that affect current, donation box owners?
Well, they will have to come into compliance with it's not a grandfathering situation. They will need to come into compliance with the ordinance. So, we can certainly help them figure out what they need to do to come into compliance. But a plywood box is never going to be in compliance. So, we would need to let them know, you cannot have this. You can have something else that's metal, but you can't have this unless you want to, unless you want to change that requirement and relax that requirement. That's what Arlington requires.
Yeah, and what measures will the city use to communicate this, to get it out and make it public?
What we always do with an ordinance that has penalties, and this would be a Class C misdemeanor to violate the terms of this ordinance, is we publish notification that there's this ordinance in the newspaper. We have to do that before we can ever collect a fine on it or bring a case. Then the administration and through our public information officer, I think we would want to do more than the usual just publication in the paper. See if we could get some free media in the various news outlets to let people know, prominently displayed on the website. I mean, that's kind of administration kind of stuff, but yes, I think that we can do all of those things. I don't see a need to individually notify people. For one thing, we don't know who most of them belong to because there's no writing on them.
Right.
I do agree that with the help of our PIO, John McFadden, maybe making an informational video at least to let the public know that, hey, listen, this is a new ordinance effective this date. These are the regulations. If you see one, please feel free to report it, yada, 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 because at least I know that there's a lot of people that are fairly upset. We got a lot of great nonprofits in our community that would love to have these donations. We've got resources here, but I feel like us not knowing
Yeah, or
who
if
these
you
are.
own one, contact us so you can get in compliance.
That's right. That's right.
Or not. There may be some that they just will quit trying to collect. We don't know who they are, who these people on a lot of these unlabeled boxes are. They may be from out of town that just come pick up every once in a while. They may find that too burdensome to want to mess with it. But these are all reasonable requirements. When you're regulating speech, you have to make sure that it is tailored to address a matter of public interest, of government interest. And here we're talking not only about aesthetics, we're also talking about health and safety. If these things start overflowing, they can be places where rats and pests and stuff start to congregate and multiply. If they're too close to the street, they can cause traffic issues. You know, if one's right up next to the street and somebody just stops to start unloading, I mean, you could have a chain reaction accident really quickly. So those are the governmental interests that we're trying to further. Those are perfectly legitimate governmental interests, and these types of restrictions are perfectly legal. The Fifth Circuit case applies and is mandatory in terms of, you know, this is good in Paris. It applies to us because we're in the Fifth Circuit. And even better than that, the Supreme Court, the plaintiffs in this case, tried to appeal this to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, no, we don't want to hear it. So the Fifth Circuit ruling stands.
So I do want to say, Stephanie, I think you've done a great job in researching this and writing the ordinance and putting it out there. And I think it's a good ordinance, and I hope it passes because this is just one more thing to help clean up the city.
Well, what we would ask from you today is what your direction is. Do you want this to be on the next agenda? And what do you want the effective date to be?
Is it reasonable to ask for a 30-day, like a 30 and 30-day effective, and then 30-day admin time to really roll it out within that grace period of 30 days?
I believe we can do that.
So we want a 30-day from passage, effective date, to get us ready to go, and then we won't enforce for 30 days while and during the first 30 days, we're publicizing it like crazy, and that we'll start taking permit applications on, day 31, and, you've got 30 days to get that done. We won't go haul anybody's box off that's got an active application being dealt with, because that seems kind of unfair. But they may not, we can deny applications if they don't meet the qualifications in the ordinance, but we want to give people the chance to comply.
So if our next meeting is April 27th, would we make it maybe effective June 1st?
I think June 1st would be good, and we could go from there.
And then you would say probably July 1st would be the actual, like, grace period's done, this thing is like set in stone, we're gonna move.
This seems reasonable, and I can certainly bring that back to you next time.
We feel good about that, guys?
Yeah.
I like it. Let's rock and roll.
Very good.
That's great. Any other discussion on this item? Okay. We will now move on to agenda item number 13, discuss and act on canceling or rescheduling of the May 25th, 2026 City Council meeting. Staff.
Okay, May 25th is a holiday for the city and Memorial Day. So we recommend that you cancel that meeting. And if you all want to schedule an extra one, we can do that. But you're going to be having a lot of meetings over the last few months. It's entirely up to you.
Council.
I think we should cancel it.
Okay.
I'd like to cancel, yes.
Okay, can we get a motion in a second?
Yes.
I make a motion that we cancel the May 25th meeting.
Okay, we got a motion?
Second.
Second?
You.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
6-0.
That's going to be a real holiday.
Yes.
Thank
Fantastic. All right, agenda item number 14, consider and approve future events for the city council and/or city staff pursuant to resolution number 2004-081. Does anyone have anything? All right, then I will go ahead and move to agenda item number 15, adjournment. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
All right, do I hear a second? Second. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, we are adjourned.